For many years, Mars has been one of the main goals of space exploration. It is the closest planet that could possibly support human life. Scientists, engineers, and space agencies have spent decades studying it, sending robots and planning missions for people to live there one day. But recently, NASA scientists released new data that raises serious concerns about whether humans can actually survive on Mars. Their warning is not meant to stop exploration, but it shows that the challenges are much greater than many people think. Mars has always been an interesting planet because it is similar to Earth in some ways. It has mountains, valleys, and polar ice caps. It also rotates on its axis, has seasons, and has a day that is almost the same length as a day on Earth, about 24.6 hours. These similarities made scientists believe that Mars might have once had liquid water and possibly even life. For these reasons, space programs like NASA, SpaceX, and the European Space Agency have focused heavily on sending future missions there. But recent findings show that Mars is not as friendly as it looks from a distance. One of the biggest problems with Mars is its atmosphere. Earth's atmosphere is made mostly of nitrogen and oxygen, which allow us to breathe and protect us from dangerous radiation. Mars's atmosphere, however, is very thin, less than 1% of Earth's air pressure, and is made mostly of carbon dioxide. This means humans cannot breathe there without oxygen support. The thin atmosphere also means there is very little protection from solar radiation and cosmic rays. During the day, Mars can reach temperatures close to 20 degrees Celsius, but at night it can drop to minus 100 degrees Celsius. These extreme changes make survival on the surface very difficult. NASA has been studying the radiation environment on Mars for years using rovers and orbiters. Data from the Curiosity rover and Mars Odyssey mission show that radiation levels on the surface are extremely high. On Earth, the planet's magnetic field and thick atmosphere block most of the radiation from space. Mars lost its magnetic field billions of years ago, which allowed solar wind to slowly remove its atmosphere. Because of this, astronauts on Mars would be exposed to about 250 millisieverts of radiation each year. For comparison, an average person on Earth receives about 6 millisieverts annually. High exposure like this increases the risk of cancer and can damage human organs and the nervous system. Long missions on Mars would require heavy protection, such as underground bases or thick shelters made from Martian soil. Another serious challenge is the weather. Mars is known for having huge dust storms that can cover the entire planet. These storms can last for weeks or even months. They block sunlight and make it impossible for solar panels to produce energy. In 2018, a global dust storm ended the mission of NASA's Opportunity rover by cutting off its solar power. These storms are not strong enough to knock down structures, but the dust particles are very fine and can enter machines and damage them. The dust also contains perchlorates, which are chemical compounds that can harm human lungs and make water toxic. If future astronauts are exposed to this dust without proper protection, it could cause serious health problems. Mars is also not as stable as it looks. In 2022, NASA's InSight lander detected more than 1,000 Marsquakes, including one with a magnitude of 5, the largest ever recorded on another planet. These quakes are caused by the planet's interior slowly cooling and shrinking over time. Even though they are not as strong as earthquakes on Earth, they could still damage buildings, underground habitats, or delicate instruments. Engineers will have to design future habitats that can resist these small but unpredictable ground movements. Water on Mars is another issue that once looked positive, but is now more complicated. For years, scientists have known that Mars has large amounts of frozen water at its poles and beneath its surface. In 2015, NASA found evidence that salty liquid water might flow in some areas during warmer seasons. However, later studies showed that this water contains toxic chemicals like perchlorates, making it unsafe to drink or use without purification. There is also concern that contact between Martian water and microbes from Earth could create dangerous contamination. So while water exists, it will take advanced systems to make it safe for human use. Even if all technical problems are solved, there are serious human challenges as well. Mars is far from Earth, between 55 and 400 million kilometers away, depending on their positions in orbit. A radio signal from Mars takes between 5 and 20 minutes to reach Earth, which means no real-time communication. Astronauts will have to live in small, enclosed spaces for long periods, possibly years, with no way to return quickly. Studies on the International Space Station show that long isolation can cause psychological stress, depression, and difficulty focusing. On Mars, these effects could become worse because of complete isolation, lack of sunlight, and the feeling of distance from Earth. NASA is researching how to prepare astronauts mentally and emotionally for such conditions, but it remains one of the hardest problems to solve. All these dangers, radiation, dust storms, toxic soil, unstable ground, and isolation make Mars a very difficult place for humans to live. NASA originally hoped to send astronauts there in the 2030s, but these new findings have forced them to rethink the plan. Many experts now believe a safe human mission might not be possible until the 2040s or later. Before sending people, NASA will continue testing new technologies through robotic missions and experiments on the Moon under the Artemis program. The Moon will serve as a testing ground for life support systems, power generation, and radiation protection that could later be used on Mars. NASA and other space agencies are not giving up. Instead, they are working on several new solutions. One idea is to build habitats underground or cover them with thick layers of Martian soil to block radiation. Another is to use nuclear power instead of solar panels to provide reliable energy during dust storms. Engineers are also studying ways to use the materials on Mars, like ice, rocks, and soil, to make building materials, water, and oxygen. This approach, called in situ resource utilization, would reduce the need to bring supplies from Earth. Scientists are developing new filters and chemical systems to remove perchlorates from water, making it safe for drinking and farming. These technologies are still being tested, but are key to any future human presence on Mars. NASA's warning about Mars is not meant to stop exploration. It is a reminder that space is dangerous and that we must be careful and realistic in our goals. Mars is not a second Earth. It is a cold, dry planet with thin air and many natural hazards. But it is also an opportunity to learn more about our solar system and about how life can survive in harsh conditions. The information gathered from Mars missions is helping scientists understand how planets change over time and what conditions might allow life elsewhere in the universe.